commitment. You must be totally committed. You must admit to yourself how important it is for you to find this relationship. And you must be willing to look at and learn from where you have gone wrong in the past, where you are now, and where you want to get to. So let me just ask a question now. I like to ask this question. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is only a little and 10 is a lot, how much discomfort is your relationship situation creating for you? Or has it created for you? So 1 would be, a little bit, not too much. And 10 is, you know what, Lorraine, actually, it's brought me to my knees. Maybe not just once, maybe not just twice, maybe multiple times, and I just don't seem to be able to get this thing together. So this is your moment to be really honest with yourself. How much emotional discomfort is your relationship situation giving you? So, okay, commitment is what's important here. You have to be committed to yourself. If is this really important for you, then make it a priority. If you were going to find a new job, you need a new job, then you start, answering, different, ads, you contact recruitment agencies, you redo your bio, your CV, you contact your friends, you get the wheels moving and you get out there and you start to do it. You start to put a lot of energy and effort into finding the right job for you. And this is where a lot of people go wrong with finding the right husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner. You don't put enough effort into it. So you meet somebody and you go out for sort of a few months, maybe a year, and it doesn't work out. That's not enough. You need to be meeting a lot of people. If you are in the kind of like late 20s, 30s bracket and you still haven't met anybody, you need to be very, very proactive. Because it ain't just going to happen. It's not going to just fall from the sky. Occasionally it does. But, you may, and if you're not careful, I don't want you to end up like me at, 40, 41. So I don't have any children. I'm fine with that. I've made my peace with it. And I have all of you, actually. I have all my lovely, beautiful people who come to me for help. And there's many ways of having children, and I'm absolutely fine with that. However, it may be something that you do really want to have, or you may already have children from a previous relationship, and you still want that person to share your life. If you're an older person, you're looking for that right companion, so that you can build a life together. But you have to be willing actually to put yourself out there, to meet people, to go to meetups, social events, parties, dates. Change the way possibly that you dress. This is always a big one with people. Quite a lot of the people who work with me, we do a complete makeover. That's for men and women. And a lot of, people find that quite challenging. But, I've seen too many times people are going out for dates and, I say, okay, what are you wearing then? This is men and women. And they show me what they're wearing. And I'm like, oh God, nuh-uh. So that's one of the things that can happen. And also, people's emotional baggage from previous relationships, from their childhood. You need to be willing to change and to do whatever it takes. And then once you get that right person, you have to be willing to stay in the relationship long enough to understand your patterns and relationships patterns and habits, both good and bad. And quite often for people, there's a decision, that needs to be made, or is this the right relationship for me, or isn't it? And how long are you going to spend, in that decision-making process? How do you recognize the right person for you? This person is the most important person in your life. And if you're not willing to make the process of finding and attracting that person your most important goal, really, then how can you ever expect to have somebody who is your most important, significant other in your life? What is your commitment to achieving this? So let me now ask you this question. on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is yeah and 10 is yes, absolutely, Lorraine, I'm totally committed. What is your level of commitment to finding your soulmate? What is your level of commitment? My experience is, when especially because I speak to a lot of you, a lot of you do, call me, and I have a lot of interaction with you. And, quite often I get this, well, Lorraine, I just need to do X or Y first. I need to finish my studies. I need to write a book. I need to save money to buy a house. I need to sort out my business or get a new job. And the thing that I'm here to tell you is that there is never a right time. There is no, I think I put this in one of my emails to my database. There is never the right time. Just like, with a new job, sometimes, you do not feel like going to work. You do not feel like doing this job. You've got a headache, you've got the flu, and yet you've got to go. You need to go because and this is the level of commitment that I am encouraging people to have in terms of finding the right person for you. Because I meet too many people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and older who are single and lonely and making do, settling because they never had the courage or never made the time to initiate the relationship that they want. So the attitude is, okay, I'm on my own, they say. Having a relationship isn't all that it's cracked up to be. A person can enjoy their life without being in a relationship. Yes, of course they can. This is actually women probably more than men, because men do tend to, in my experience, men do tend to really, really actually need a relationship, sometimes more than women do. There was an interesting study done on happiness, and it showed that, okay, so the top of the happiness stakes were men and women who were in a compatible relationship. Then next came women who were on their own. They were quite happy. They were sort of moderately happy, I think. But bottom of the list was men who were single. So even lower actually than people who were in a incompatible relationship. I think men who were single actually, as particularly as men get older, you really love to have somebody in your life. And of course, yes, I'm generalizing. I know about sexuality in men and female, and everybody's different. Of course, I'm talking about generalities here. So, forgive me, if you are, if you're a single sex, you want a single sex relationship, okay, fine. Or, you've got other gender thing, that's fine. But the principles of masculine and feminine actually do tend to apply. Even in single-sex marriages. Yes, okay, so yes, the person says, oh, having a relationship isn't all it's cracked up to be. And yes, of course, you can enjoy your life without a relationship, I tell everybody. But how much more fulfilling is it? How much more enjoyable is it? How much more satisfying is it to have someone in your life you can trust, who is your partner, who watches your back, who you can share the fun times, the special times in your life with, as well as the pains and the struggles, of course, and have that support. So, for those of you that feel that you are too busy to have a relationship, I would point out that life continues whether you are in a relationship or not. And sooner or later, you're going to need to manage a relationship alongside life's pressures and changes. And the sooner you get into the place of practicing that, because it's a skill, the better. And the quicker you will have a relationship. So very often people have had their trust broken or being hurt in the past. And what we do then, and this was my situation, I'd put up all these imaginary walls because of stuff that had happened in my childhood. And I then had to, very brick by brick, I had to take the walls down and begin to be able to open my heart, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for you to be able to open your heart. And it takes courage, which is the name of my business, the courage to connect, to face our fears, our previous traumas. And quite often people need a guide to help them move through that post-traumatic stress that can get triggered every time they get near to finding the love that they seek. So how do we clear that emotional baggage, which can like it's almost like a negative magnet every time you get close to the thing that you want. And it's not only to do with relationships, it can be do with things like money, and it can be to do with anything that you really, really want in your life. As you get close to it, if you're still holding old baggage that hasn't been cleared, as you get close to it, you're like a magnet. You bounce away, and you will find a way to sabotage it. I've seen people do all sorts of ridiculous things, like having serious accidents, getting health conditions, messing up in all sorts of ways. So one of the fastest and most thorough ways that I know to attract a healthy, happy, lasting relationship, a soulmate, is to make sure that you are not carrying any old resentments, grief, anger, or pain towards previous partners, relationships, family members, or even friends and work associates. You need to declutter and clear every dark corner, every negative feeling, every resentment, every jealousy, every bitterness, a bit of cynicism, grief, anger, finger pointing to all your previous, oh, it was them, they did this, they did this, whether romantic, family, or work related. It is crucial to release these feelings. And one way of doing this, which is the way that I do it with the people who come to me and who come to my program, is to do a complete relationship detox inventory. So how do we do a detox clearing inventory? Well, there are many ways of doing this, but the way that I like to do it, and I really think it's quite important to do this with, as I say, some kind of a guide or a mentor like myself, is first of all, you write down a list. We're not going to do it today. You write down a list of all the people who you do still hold some kind of resentment for, all your previous romantic relationships that have left you with any resentments, anger, jealousy, confusion, or even hatred, revenge, that can be there sometimes. Once you have your list, then there's a process of writing about what happened, what they did, what you did, how it felt, what your part was in each of these situations, and how you would like to have the situation resolved as if it had never occurred. And the bit that's important here is identifying your part. Even if it doesn't seem like it was your fault, that it's still a part of you which is attracting. So, we get, sometimes, unfortunately, I do get abuse survivors who come to me for help. And it's like, even like people who were children who got abused. And it's like, okay, well, how can that be my responsibility? And actually, I will say something about this more in a minute, because there is a level of responsibility where everything that happens to us is something that we've contributed to, even if it doesn't seem like that is the case. I won't say more than that about this, but I'll maybe say some more about that later. So once you've got your list, you're going to write about what happened, and then you need to share that with somebody. And this is the bit that hangs people up sometimes, because who is going to listen? When I did this, I had pages and pages. I was into my 40s when I did this. I had my list of people who I had resentments with. It went on and on and on and on. It took me hours and hours and hours to go through all of this, and really understand what my part had been. And it was an amazing experience, and it's really helped me to then go on. It's fascinating, actually, how even though once you start doing healing processes, even though it may not seem like it's doing anything, it actually really is. So it's very important. And it's a way of releasing the pain, the negative emotions associated with each incident, and then also having some kind of higher power, universal intelligence, God, source, whatever you want to call the substance of the universe, that you can call on to be with you in this process, is, for me, also a fundamental part of the whole process. So So we do various inventories in my program, which really help people.